All right, we are alive, Nick. We are live for the top of the ninth this time. Got in here a little bit early. Camera operators in Houston got to be better. I don't know. Oh, get down. Get through. Dang, I don't think he's going to be able to score. That's all right.
It's all right.
It's a good start to the inning.
Out.
Good start to the inning. Nobody out. Coming in hot. Coming in hot. I gotta get myself all situated. I'm still not even in the right spot.
It's another well-hit ball from Tyler Stevenson. What would that one come in at? Where we at?
I don't know.
90. I don't know. That's Steer. I need the.
I'm gonna throw a 97.
102. His single earlier was 100. 2 balls hit over 100 miles an hour today for Stevenson. That's good to see, man. That is awesome.
Pinch running for Ty Steve, huh? Just
right.
Because we assume that we don't need extras, so I'm all for it. Sir Boy's asking for respect on Ty Steve's name. I've given Ty Steve some respect. I've given him some respect. The only negative thing I've ever said about Tyler Stevenson, Sir Boy, as you know, is I said that he struggles catching the ball, which still hasn't been proven that he can't yet, but being a good bat it's a start. We're start. I couldn't even tell you what a Gen Zer is, Santos. I don't do the generation stuff. I don't even really know what the names of each generation are. It's like those zodiac signs. I have no idea about what those are.
I have no idea what that is either.
Even like what's the term that's used when you your birthstone? Is that right? Is that the right term?
Gemstone?
Gemstone? I don't know. See, I'm clueless. I mean, I'm making a fool of myself right now. You basically just go off when you're born.
Okay.
Come on, Will. Chat's going to tell me what that is, by the way. I know they are. I don't even know what that is.
Like the stream, folks, if you want the Reds to hold on.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea. We got a lot of people that are OGs in the chat early and often because they do like our likes pop up real quick. Our ratio between watchers and likes is high. Full count. I know you're a little bit ahead of me, Nick, like a smidge ahead of me. Not a lot. Like we're talking close. Milliseconds.
I can't ever get like in the middle here.
Come on now.
5 times on base. Oh man.
That's
Trace. I'm starting to think the death of Will Benson might have been a little exaggerated.
An incredible take by Will. Well, I always adjust where I sit. Yeah, I always do that. You adjust your camera. I can't do that.
I have to sit in like a certain spot to be able to get both screens and
gotcha. I just sit crooked and don't even worry about it. You're the perfection.
All right,
guy.
Nick, Nick needs something.
We got to put the bat on the ball here. We got to put the bat on the ball, Nick.
Will Benson.
Tyler, we got more than one like. We got 21 likes. Sometimes the YouTube doesn't update likes for everybody at the same time. I know what you're talking about, though, Tyler.
Yeah.
Golly day, man.
I mean, I hate to say this is like almost a spot where you don't even mind giving up a double play.
Yeah,
right?
we just want to run. We want one run. You're not going to get a double play because the infield's in. So double play is in like a run scores, obviously.
That was a tough.
It's a terrible at bat.
Terrible at bat, but a tough.
It's a good pitch.
Yeah, I got to get on this bar. I'm struggling.
What do you do when you got guys at third base with less than 2 outs? Usually you swing.
Yeah.
Watch 2 strikes, you swing at a ball.
Oh.
I love this. I was thinking this. I was actually thinking this myself. I mean, is Mailey? I don't know why I keep saying Mailey. Where the hell did that ever come from? And why do we keep doing that?
It's because of Tyler. It's just it's so
you're right.
ingrained in our heads. We can't get it out.
Mailey is a good enough catcher to get us through the ninth. We're in a situation where we need to put the ball in play. None better person to put the ball in play than Kevin Newman.
And he did it.
That's what I'm talking about.
He did it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's a good play by Will Benson. You can say, oh, stupid Will, stupid Will. You know what you do right there? You remember when people got in an argument with me, Nick? You remember this argument that I was making? You forced the guy to cut the ball off and make the out at third because you already got 2 runs. You got what you needed. You wanted to force them to make a play. They decided to cut the ball off, throw a guy out at third. So be it. So be it. We'll live with that all day long. We'll live with that all day long. What a beautiful game we're playing right now. Just this team, man. This team. Holy smokes. You know what's going to happen now, don't you, Nick?
Montero's struggling this year, but that first, sorry, I was like in mid-thought. Montero, the guy they have is struggling, but that right. Phil Maton had a Maton, I don't know, 1.64 ERA coming in. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, first I want to make sure I say that OJ's 94 Bronco is back again. And he's saying a $4.99. He's got a super chat, $4.99. World effing Series.
Oh, man.
Oh, he's buying the hype, baby. OJ's he's buying the hype. We got another guy in the pyramid scheme. We got another Amway. We got another Amway artist. Easy, Welsh. Let's not get too far. Let's not call it a thumping yet. Ball's hit. Oh, I don't even remember what I was going to say. I was going to say something important, I thought.
Who are we pitching in the ninth?
That's what I was getting right. Yeah, that's what it was.
See, we've been working this so long. I knew what you were thinking. I knew where your head was.
That's what it was. I was like, okay, we got 5. We went from 3 to 5. Who's pitching in the ninth now?
Okay, well.
Can I throw out a name for you?
Up through 11.
Can I throw out a name for you?
Yeah.
Is Alex Young too important to throw tonight?
Nah, don't waste him. I mean.
Whoa, we wasted him.
I guess they only have one lefty. I'd probably, I don't know, maybe Legumina.
I was going to say him, too. That was the second guy I was going to pick. Look at us just, what good at bats we have here.
Just want a guy that's not going to walk anyone. You want a non-Ricky Karcher.
If Kevin Newman keeps this up, there's a good chance we got Kevin Newman merch at some point. I mean, this dude, he's a new man. I'm trademarking that. New man.
I tell you.
Come on, man.
If I'm choosing between Senzel and Newman the rest of the year, it's Newman.
That's not even close. Yeah, that's not even an argument. Newman's been put in as a pinch hitter in 2 different spots because they know he's going to put the bat on the ball, and he's done it. He's done it both times. His sprint speed's elite. There's no question.
And I also feel like Newman is probably better suited to sit on the bench for like an entire week and, still be able to contribute when he's needed to an extent. I mean, to the best of his ability.
Right.
I don't know if Senzel could
by
do
the
that.
way. Huge hit if we can get it. This would be a coffin nails right here.
Good take.
Good. Golly, Davies, guys.
Great take.
Unbelievable take. That's the difference between, I feel like, a lot of the difference between these rookies and a lot of other rookies and these guys being great or good, whatever term you want to use, and just being average, is their plate discipline is elite. Like, they take great pitches.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just something that's such an emphasis in the minor leagues from this organization right now. Well, and also who they're acquiring. Like
the guys.
Will Benson is a good on base guy.
They're targeting those guys in the process. Yeah,
targeting and
teaching.
Yeah, instructing. Ooh, Fernando Cruz.
They love Cruz, don't they? Boy, do they love him. They're
This
like,
guy's gonna he's gonna miss like a month of the season and still end up leading the team in appearances this year.
They're like a 5-year-old kid for lunch. They're like, what do you want for lunch? You're like, grilled cheese. Like, you just had grilled cheese. Like, nah, I want some more. David Bell's like, who should we go to? Or they're like, who should we go to? Like, let's go to Fernando Cruz. Get down. Get down. Get down.
Oh!
Yes! Let's go! What is this, a Cracker Jack box, by the way?
Dude. The Cincinnati
What just
Reds.
happened, bro? How
Cal
in the
Tucker-
hell did he hit a ball like that, one-footed, leaning outside, pokes it to right? How far is the line? I should know this, but how far is the line? That's a home. Did that hit? Wait a minute. I want to see that again.
Come on, up 10-3, you gotta send him.
He was dead. He was dead.
I know, but
No, but did you see that ball, chat? OJ's Bronco with an LFG. $2. We round up at Chatterbox Sports. I don't. I mean, I know I'm sounding like maybe I'm getting too greedy here. I know you guys said it hit the yellow. It's almost like it hit like the concrete behind the yellow though, kind of. I'm being serious. That ball like should not have hit and went back that hard if it just hit padding. Just saying. I want to see that again.
I thought for sure Tucker was going to catch that.
Do you know how in left field and right field at Great American Ballpark there's concrete, legit concrete about this wide beyond the padding? And it's got like a little bit of an angle to it because they have to do that. It's not like it's a perfect square. It seems like it might have came down and hit that and then boom, shot back. There's no way the ball bounces that hard off of the padding. I would be shocked if it did hit the padding. Again, I'm not suggesting you that it's a mistake for not challenging or something like that because the game's moving fast and you kind of like to want to keep the rhythm and the flow of this game right now because things are going well. The last thing you want to do is have a 5-minute review. Bregman, good player. Okay, we'll take it. I want to see that homer again, though. I'd like to see it. I'm going to call it a homer. Oh, man. Dude, call a buddy and tell a friend right now, would you? Call a buddy and tell a friend. Chatterbox Reds is about to be popping. Here comes Cruz, by the way. Throwing that little cutter. Are they calling that a cutter or a slider? I feel like they call it a slider, but I like to call it a cutter. It looks more like a cutter.
The split finger?
No. What's the pitches?
He was throwing a split finger at one point. 36% slider, 32% changeup, 32% fastball.
Sliders.
That's a well balanced 3 pitches. I'm not sure I've seen anyone in a while that was like all within like 4% of each other.
Can't believe this, man. So ridiculous, dude.
This is really happening.
I also, not to be a greedy fan here, but chat, can we just get like a nice, easy inning here? Just nice and smooth. I'll even give them 1 base runner. I'll say, hey, they can have a base runner. That's fine. But none of this walking guys, none of this Fernando Cruz blowing up stuff. Just if Diaz has to come in this baseball game,
we riot.
Let's not do that. Yeah, we riot. We're storming.
I would assume they would go to Sims because Sims had already been hot.
Yeah, it is Sims. Yes. They're gonna go to Sims. Yeah. I think they'll go to Cruz, then they'll go to Sims. Yep, that looks right.
All right, what was I keep having to add guys to the bottom ticker because everyone's hitting, so I got to add Matt McLean in here. Like that would just be disrespectful of me, right?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Throw strikes, big dog.
I believe in you.
I believe in him too. If he throws strikes, we're good.
Reds NL pennant odds, or no, Reds World Series odds went from plus 30,000 to plus 20,000 overnight last night on Betfred Sportsbook.
Yeah. Here's that slider. Slide, slide, slide. Slide to the left. Good pitch.
Good cover, too, by Cruz.
Yep. Good
Just
baseball.
hustling over to the bag.
Good baseball. Good baseball. Turn around and tell him. Turn around and tell him. All right, chat? Turn around and tell him. Let him know how many we got. Let him know how many outs we got. Let him know. Ball in the gap, hit your cutoff man. That's right, Thomas. Let him know. We got one. My gosh, I'm getting smashed with all these Twitter notifications. I got to figure out how to turn that off. That's pumping strikes too. Man. Incredible. Are people ahead of me? People, I can't. Don't check the chat. Don't check the chat. People ahead of me?
Probably.
Ray Cannon Baseball seems to be ahead of me. Just saying.
Ooh.
There's no way he's this far ahead of me.
I mean, this is a first pitch.
Oh, okay. Ray Cannon saying strikes. All right, I'm with you, Ray Cannon. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. All right, now we're on the same page. You had me thinking that we had two of them, though. I ain't gonna lie to you. You had my hopes up. There's not a better feeling in the world than when Mouse Cop comes in and says, and this one belonged to the Reds, and he just spams the chat like 30 messages in a row, and you haven't seen the last out, but you're kind of like, okay, I think this is gonna happen. You're not sure.
One of these times they're gonna get us.
Bass Face saying, don't let us get hot. They call that a loud strike. Don't let us get hot. That's right, Bass Face. Appreciate the super chat. I'm just at the point now where I'm even going to take a step back and appreciate what I'm watching. Because it doesn't seem quite real. Doesn't seem quite real. Oh, yep.
Boom.
Go around. Hey, turn around and tell them how many we got, chat. Let them know. Got two-way. Two-way. Let them know. Two-way. Normal depth. Don't even worry about doubles. We ain't worried about any of that. Can't hit a 5-run home run with nobody on, so don't worry about it. That's just a good pitch. Best of luck to the equipment manager trying to get that guy's jersey clean.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Uh-oh. That's a can of corn, boys. That's a can of corn. Nick, count them up, brother. Count them up, Nick.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And Trace, the Cincinnati Reds, the dumpster fire of an organization.
Oh, he's going there.
Upon,
he's going there. Nick Kirby's feeling himself.
Have a winning record in 3 of the last 4 years. Woo!
High drive, left center field, racing back to the Laurel Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Giddy, injured glove. Throw to first and Homer failing for the second time in his major league career. It's tossed to no-hit. Oh, gosh. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
Nick, we have entered La La Land. We have entered the park, and it doesn't seem like it's all that reasonable and real. This is Main Street at Disney World. You look around and you think, wow, this looks so nice, it can't be real. I'm wondering to myself, what did we do to deserve this? What did I do to deserve to get to watch a team not only win, chat, not only win, but it's the way they win. It is the brand of baseball that we are allowed to watch on every single night. Win or lose, it's the same brand of baseball. Nick, I know you're thrilled to death. I know we've kind of gotten ourselves in a position every single night on what do we do after these wins? We can't just obviously be ridiculous and fake enthusiasm, but I'm getting to the point where I've run out of stuff to say. I'm at a loss for words. I'm looking at the standings. I'm looking at the teams. I'm asking myself, are they really better than us? Are we sure they're better than us? Because I'm not so sure anymore. I'm not so sure anymore. And it has to do everything with the fact that we have guys on an everyday basis, Nick, that are just solid baseball players. Kid show, can't cuss. Nick, your overall thoughts on today and just in general?
It's just been so much fun to watch. You know, this team has just come so incredibly far, not even from just a year ago, but from mid-April. They're just playing great baseball. I don't know how long it'll be able to keep up at this level throughout the year. But
you don't think we're going to win out, Nick?
I don't think we're going to win out. I think we might lose a couple more games.
Yeah.
But man, this is just I don't know what to say. I'm speechless. I like just what is happening right now?
This is stupid. If this is your first time in this chat, if this is your first time watching the show, welcome. The chat is half the fun. We're the other part of the show, and we call this just a dumb show because that's what it's become. This is just dumb. The amount of people that watch this show, the amount of people that think that this is fun and enjoyable, and I'm not talking about the Reds, I'm talking about us, is a little over my head at times. However, I want to harken back and saying to you that you do deserve this. Like, if you're cracking open a cold one right now and you're just hanging out on the patio or you're just doing whatever you're doing in the middle of the summer and you're enjoying this beautiful weather that we've had, at least in the tri-state area, you deserve it. Some others might say, oh, you know, you guys or whatever, you'll fall back. Don't worry about it. Your team's not that good. You're playing over your head, all that. You know what? Who gives a rat's tail whether they're right or wrong? Because right now I'm happy, baby. Right now I'm enjoying life. I ain't worried about what comes tomorrow because all I'm worried about right now is today. And today, Nick, I don't know if you know this or not, but the Cincinnati Reds, you can make a clear case argument that they're the best team in the National League Central. And what are they going to say, Nick? They're going to say, oh, but what about your guys' starting pitching? And I would say, yeah, wait until we figure that out. Because if we figure that out, you better watch it. Because these dudes can play in the field now. I mean, seriously. Is there one guy, and now people are going to in the chat and be like, oh, Nick Senzel, there's a couple guys. But if Will Benson's going to be the guy that we've seen today, even remotely half of a confident player as he is, and he starts bringing something to the table, what's the term? Better bar the door. So we're about to kick it in. Nick, you have a box score recap to do. If you are joining us, please do me one thing. Nick always tells you guys to go spam the Reds score. You probably should do that if you can. Go spam the Reds score. And then secondarily, Please like the stream. I know you guys were skeptics at first. I know many of you came in here thinking at first, Nick, they probably thought, oh, yeah, like the stream. It means that the Reds are going to win. Oh, yeah. How's it been working out for you? How are we looking now? Got like 300 likes on the last stream. Just coincidentally went in and blew the brakes off of the World Series champion, Houston Astros. Do you think that's a coincidence, Nick? The answer is no.
That the Reds won a series against the Astros?
No, that we have 300 likes yesterday, and that the Reds won. That's not a coincidence, is it, Nick?
No, I don't. And thank you, Kyle, for the super chat. Enjoying the Dayton Dragons hat.
That's right. All right, you do the box score recap if you can. If you can lock it in and focus that long.
All right.
I know you're jumping with joy with excitement right now.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. All right, let's do a box score recap. Reds got rolling quickly on Saturday afternoon in Houston. The second batter of the game, Matt McLain, reached on an air, and then Jonathan India hit a 403-foot bomb to left field. 2-0 Reds. Elly De La Cruz also snapped his 0 for 13 mini skid with a single to left field in the top of the first. Top of the third, the Astros were able to get one run back off Hunter Green on a sac fly. That made it 2-1. Top of the fourth, Reds got that run back very quickly on a Will Benson triple and then a safety squeeze. Can't forget about that moment from Kurt Casale. Top of the fifth, Dusty Baker brought in Phil Maton, who entered with a 1.64 ERA on the season to face Will Benson. With the bases loaded and 2 outs, Will Benson promptly singled home 2 runners, and that made it 5-1 Reds. Bottom of the sixth, Hunter Green did give up a solo home run in his final inning of work. Final line on Saturday, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, 1 home run. Green has a 2.34 ERA over his last 4 starts. In the top of the second, Elly De La Cruz had a double. He stole third base, and then Tyler Stevenson smoked a single over 100 miles an hour past the draw in an infield. That made it 6-2. Tyler Stevenson had a nice day. 2 balls hit over 100 miles per hour. Bottom of the seventh, the Astros got a run back on a solo home run from Jose Altuve against Ian Jabot. That made it 6-3. But then in the top of the ninth, the Reds poured it on 4 runs. RBI hits from Newman and McLain. Reds win 10-3. Reds are now alone in second place, half game behind the Brewers. Reds have a 7-game win streak, their longest since 2018. Since starting the season 1-9 on the road, the Reds are 18-8 since. Reds are 29-20 since April 24th. And as I mentioned, the Cincinnati Reds now have a winning record in 3 of the last 4 seasons. It's fact.
You're ridiculous, man. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not a fact. It's just hilarious. It's just such a funny cherry pick stat.
When we got to like 3 games within, I was like, hey, wait a minute. And I was like, please, just get above 1 game. Just please.
Well, they did for you.
I've been saving that. I didn't even mention it. It's just been floating around in the old noodle.
Well, where do we start? Hunter Green. This is where I think Hunter Green can be elite. Because today, I don't think Hunter pitched great for his standards in regards to just pitchability. Like I guess, if you take out all the stats and you just looked at every pitch individually, you would say, okay, he's having trouble with his command. He's kind of just pushing along and getting through it. He's not striking out a ton of guys like he normally would. But you look up at the scoreboard and you realize he's thrown, at this point, I don't remember off the top of my head, but 5 innings, giving up 1 run. That is where Hunter Green can separate himself, is because when his average is better than most, his good is obviously going to be elite, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to say, hey, this is why he's an ace, and he's a lockdown kind of guy. But for him to be able to go out today and kind of grind himself to what I would consider a worthwhile win, shout out to Hunter Green. I know that, some people might look at earlier this year, I think Hunter Green got kind of beat up a little bit, Nick. Not saying it was unjust totally. But I think that there was times where he threw the ball better than what his numbers look like, and everybody crushed him for it. And today they're going to come out on a limb and be like, oh, he's throwing the ball incredibly well. But I don't think he did, just because his numbers look good. Oh my gosh. Anon76 with a super chat from hell. He's asking for Fireball. Nick, you got to talk.
Oh, he's going to do it. Oh, wow. I think I have some Fireball that's like 6 years old that I haven't touched. Probably would kill me if I drank it. I mean, should I even give my opinion on Hunter Green's start? I don't know if I want to be mid talking about Hunter Green while Trace is dousing some Fireball. All right. So Trace, first question here: What's this liquor store Fireball or is this gas station Fireball?
It's the best Fireball I could find. Okay, Nick, this is off the top of my head. It's as fast as I could get it. We're going to have to save this for a minute. I got to get myself prepared for this. Your final thoughts on Hunter Green before we get to Will Benson and talk about Fireball. Let's talk about Will Benson. Maybe we'll open the segment off with a little Fireball for Will Benson.
All right, on Hunter Green, I'm with you. I thought today was a pretty average start from him, maybe slightly below average even, 4 walks. He only had 11 swing and misses, 8 hard hit balls allowed, but Hunter Green deserved a start like this to go his way after some of the starts earlier in the year. Also really good to see the Reds put up a 10 spot when he pitched, because I don't know the stat, but how many starts did he have earlier in this year where it was, the Reds scored 1 or 0 runs? I know the Reds lost a 2-0 game. The funny thing is, I was actually going back to right before this streak of 29 and 20. That last start was a 2-0 loss when Hunter Green pitched really well to the Pirates, and then that's when the Reds kind of, flipped the script, swept the Rangers. So just kind of, I guess, interesting parallels there.
Yeah, it almost reminded me of it kind of reminds me of when guys, hit a ball super hard and the announcer says something along the lines of like, oh, well, they all even out, and then he hits a flare the next at bat and they kind of say, oh, see, I told you so. I don't actually believe that, by the way. I think I've said that 1,000 times on the show. I don't think they all even out. But it does feel like this is one of those even out games for Hunter Green in regards to the fact that he was 0-4. And you were like, he hasn't got a win this year, and everyone wanted to hold that over his head for a while, Nick. Your ace, he doesn't even have a win. I think that we all know, most people that know ball know that probably wins and losses for a starting pitcher is a little bit of a, I'm not saying it's worthless stat, but it's pretty close to worthless. Too many variables outside the pitcher's control to kind of hang your hat on a win and loss record. But Hunter Green did what he did what we needed him to do today. How about that?
Yeah, and he didn't give up a home run until the 6th inning, but Hunter Green didn't allow a home run in any of his last 3 starts before that. So, well, yeah, the overall stat line might not be as sexy as Hunter Green can put up there. He did keep the ball in the ballpark, in a pretty good hitter's ballpark against a lineup that can't hit a lot of home runs. It has a lot of power. So, definitely, I think deserves some credit for that. And he was giving up a lot of. The first 4 starts of May, 2 home runs, 1 home run, 2 home runs, 2 home runs, then 0, 0, 0, and then just the one today, but that wasn't until the 6th inning. And that really wasn't necessarily a home run that was like absolutely destroyed either.
Yep. No doubt. Will Benson. What are we supposed to say about him? What are we supposed to say about Will Benson? You wanted to write him off. I thought about writing him off. Hell, I might have said something about writing him off. Can't even hold a straight face when I say this. Turns out old Nick Kirby over here, Mr. Shining Light, beacon of hope, might have been right about this guy. Will Benson is not as bad as everyone made him out to be to start the year off. He's not that bad. He's looking, you know what he reminds me of a little bit? He reminds me of Amir Garrett if Amir Garrett played the outfield and hit left-handed. Got a little Amir Garrett in him. Now, hand up, not a huge fan of Amir Garrett. I thought his his antics were a little bit beyond what his skill level was. It kind of reminded me of the guy that was sitting on the bench in basketball that would be talking, all kid show, can't really cuss, talking smack is what we'll say. And next thing you know, you're kind of like, you look over at the bench and you're like, who is that guy? That's kind of what Amir Garrett reminded me of, but that's here nor there. Anyway, do you not think Will Benson's reminds me of Meyer Garrett sometimes? He just hits that, he gets a double or a single. Next thing you know, he's ready to punch the first base coach right in the face sometimes.
Yeah, that was my first thought when he hit that walk-off home run, the way that he celebrated. That was very Amir Garrett-esque. That's kind of been the only time I've really felt that. I feel like he's maybe, for the most part, outside of that home run, he's like Amir Garrett on Ritalin. But yeah, it's just great to see Will Benson 5 times on base today.
Unbelievable.
He's just playing really, really well. The Tyler Mahle trade, man.
Can you explain?
I don't want to get too.
Can you explain what happened? Because some people are like, oh, I didn't know that we didn't get Will Benson for the Tyler Mahle trade. So you're gonna have to explain that a little bit for the background story. There's a good amount of people that are in here right now that don't know that whole thing. I know there's some that do. We don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but we obviously got CES, we got Steer, but we also got X, and we got 4X.
All right, so Tyler Mahle for Christian Encarnacion Strand, Spencer Steer, and then a pitcher. Reds used that pitcher to trade to the Guardians for Will Benson, along with another, I believe it was their one of their second round draft pick of a pitcher, but he's been hurt a lot. So I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because we're talking 6 years of service time and a lot can change. But this is looking like one of those legacy trades, like Nick Carl can put down. That was the one I absolutely won, and wow, what a
the Minnesota Twins might find themselves on the world's worst trade list, right? And we've done this before, Nick. I don't know if you know, but we've done top 5 worst trades in the history of sports. The Louisiana Purchase was one of them. We got into that.
What happened?
Exactly. We got maybe we're going to keep politics out of the show, but maybe Brittany Griner for the Merchant of Death was a part of that list. I don't remember for sure, but it might have been. And then the other one I think was perhaps this Twins trade. Those were the top 3. But as his super chat runs out, Anon76, I'm going to make a fool of myself. Now, many of you might say, well, what is it? Well, look, we're going to go double barrel. We're going to give this hell. We're going to give it a shot. It might not go well, but I'm going to try. Ready for it?
Oh, there's 2.
Ooh, boys. Can't say I never did nothing for this chat. I will go to hell and back for this chat, which is what I just did.
Well, I know what the YouTube thumbnail is going to be.
Woo! Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Smoking on that Dusty pack.
How do we follow that?
Well, what we do is we talk about India, our captain, Captain America, the leader of this baseball team, a guy that we can't get rid of, Nick. If we get rid of him, this team is doomed. Can't get rid of him. Jonathan India, 2-run bomb started this whole thing off. Tell me I'm not right.
He's playing well.
Look at Nick. He's going to cry laughing. Can't even hold it together right now. Go ahead.
I already got my one out of the year. I think I'm good. I don't know. You never know, though. This chat, I won't put it past them. They may get me real good at some point. They've been known to do that. Who isn't playing well in this team, though, right now? Nick Senzel?
Nick Senzel. Just got back, Nick Senzel. I think Senzel is the guy that everybody probably wants to move on from, if we're being completely honest and fair. Partly because everyone else is playing great, and he's just the one lone man out. And I don't know if that's fair or not fair, Nick, but that's part of the deal. Bass Face, thanks for the super chat. Mark, thanks for the super chat. But here, anyways, what's your overall thoughts on India's play today? I don't know, defensively he's hanging there. I mean, you can't say that he's not playing a little bit better defensively. If we're going to try to be a fair show, Nick, can we at least admit that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think there's obviously not the upside defensively that other guys bring, but I'm having a hard time remembering the last time I felt like he made a really bad play, where he was like a liability out there. So yeah, I definitely think he showed some improvement, and yeah, he's playing well. He's playing well right now. I mean, that was a big home run in the first inning, kind of set the tone for this game. You know, when you've had this like 6-game win streak, it kept honestly kind of kept feeling like, all right, well, it's got to come down at some point. And then he gets that home run. You're like, all right, well, here we go. I mean, are they going to do it again? It was just, I think it set the tone really well in this game.
Yeah. I mean, this baseball team's good. How many times are we going to have to say that to people? How many times are we going to have to do this? Can we just do it? Let's just do a fun little thing at the really quickly. All right. TJ Friedel. He's a hell of a baseball player. Like, he looks the part. He takes great pitches. He gets on base. He's got speed. Plays great center field. Right?
He walked 3 times today, and I didn't even like.
Nobody even talk about him.
I didn't
no one
even acknowledge that because there's so many other guys.
Great player. Like, let's go to the 2-hole. Matt McLain, MVP of this team. Personally, I think he is. You can make the argument maybe someone else is, but I don't care. Man, that fireball's ripping my stomach right now. Matt McLain, great player. My favorite player, Matt McLain. All right, let's move on. Captain America, Jonathan India. After that, you got Spencer Steer. Could be Rookie of the Year. After that, we got a DH situation we need to figure out. I will put my hand up and say that I think that's something we do need to figure out. Okay? We do need to figure that out. But Tyler Stevenson has found his mojo back. He's gotten his groove back. Say whatever you want behind the plate, but at the plate in regards to hitting, he's figuring it out. I like to think that Tyler Stevenson can get by catching 90 games in a major league season. I'm hopeful of that. Nick, if he can catch 90 games in a major league season, there is something there. I can work with that. You know what I'm saying? Do you agree with that? Do you think, what's the number of games you think he needs to catch to be not a nuisance on this team?
Yeah, I think 90, 100.
Okay.
I don't think he needs to get there this year, but I think next year that'd be your goal. And I think I said it before the season. The Yadier Molinas and Salvador Perez's, those are unicorns in the sport. Guys like Will Smith, who's probably, I would say, is probably the best overall catcher according to most people. I think he only caught like 110 games last year. Most of these other guys, these other top catchers, they're not catching that many games. It's a different sport in the way that they use catchers, and probably a lot of it is they have a lot of data now that says it's not worth trying to stretch these guys out to 130, 140 games as they wear down, and then they're not as good behind the plate. They're not as good offensively in September and late in the season. So, yeah, I think that 100 would be a great goal for the future.
Yep. And then after Stevenson, you get into the you basically get into the outfield. You start to get into the outfield. I mean, I don't know at what point do we start to ask questions about Will Benson. At what point do we start asking questions about whether or not we can say whatever we want, chat, but the fact of the matter is we got to do something with Will Myers. I know that the chat's going to absolutely go ballistic right now. It's going to be Will Myers DFA, Will Myers DFA, Will Myers DFA. One could make the argument that's probably what should happen. However, you don't just have Benson, but you have Fraley. That's also a situation that we need to figure out. Senzel obviously came back up. I don't know, what stock do you put in that? I go ahead.
In fairness to Senzel, we have to remember he only played 2 rehab games. Now, I also kind of question why they brought him right back up.
Because Barrero couldn't make a play in center field.
Yeah. But Yeah, but he did only play 2 rehab games, so this was like his 4th game back from injury. So I'm not sold on Senzel, and I think I've made that pretty clear throughout the year. But if you like were kind of sold on him before, I don't know if I'd make a big deal out of like these 2 games.
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not too overly concerned about Senzel. I have some thoughts on that here in a second. Mark, thank you for the super chat and saying that, you know, we listen, we love what we do. We appreciate you guys watching. That's probably the biggest thing I want to get out all the time. You guys are the best, man. You guys are the best. I'll make a fool of myself on this show. The thing that concerns me is that I am a man of the people. Some people say, well, that's great, Trace. Like, that's the best thing you could possibly be as a man of the people. Well, sometimes when you have to go into these little, you know, corporate meeting, like, oh, you got to go meet with big business owners. You got to portray Chatterbox Sports as like this big company. You go in there and try to do business deals. You know, it's all this you know, Mr. Business stuff, suit and tie. And they're like, oh, is that the guy that just took 2 shots of Fireball I seen the other night on the internet? I don't know. Maybe that'll be the end of Chatterbox because old Trace Fowler's out here just doing whatever the hell the chat asks him to do. But here I am on a Saturday in the middle of June, chat, because the Reds are in first place. They might not technically be in first place, but they're first place in my heart. Thank you, Lisa, for the super chat. All right, here's the thing about this baseball team right now, Nick. We have a problem, and the problem is a good one. However, I don't want to mess with it. I got to be honest. I know this sounds pessimistic on a night we should all be excited, but we got to bring up, it's like what good families do, Nick. It's what good parents do. Good parents, they love their kids. And they'll do anything for their kids. Hell, they'll die for their kids. But there's times where you got to get on them. You got to make sure that they're doing the right thing. We in this show have to be honest, and we have to talk about things that people might not want to talk about. Joey Votto is coming to this baseball team, and it's coming soon. It's coming real soon. I'd like to tell the chat, hand in the air, I don't want to mess with what's going on right now. I love Joey. Joey might be the best thing that ever happens to this team for this year. I don't know. But my God, it's not even about Joey. It's just about the fact this team is playing such great baseball. Why are we going to mess with it? I don't know why you would do that. Have you ever gone and replaced your brand new stove and oven because you're like, you know what? This thing's really doing the job. When I put something in there to bake, it pops out perfect every time. But you know what? I don't like this oven. I need a new one. And you wheel that thing out? No one ever does that, Nick. Why? Because you don't fix anything unless it's broken. And I don't know why, and I don't know how we're going to do it, but I don't think the Reds have the guts to be able to try to say, you know what? We can't do anything right now. But I think they're going to. We got to figure it out. Stier's going to start playing the outfield, isn't he, Nick?
Yeah, I think him playing left field last night was because of that, because I know we had a comment in the YouTube comments after the game about that, and it's just hard to say that the alignment they went yesterday was the best defensive alignment with Stier in left field, and did they have Senzel in the infield yesterday and Newman at first base?
Yeah.
It seemed like that should have all been flipped, but that the only reason you would put Stier in left field is because you're trying to prepare him for other moves that are coming. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. Am I allowed to like have mixed emotions about this? Like everyone on the Bluebird app is like, you have to like jump full speed ahead of
this isn't. Yeah, you're asking the question: do you have to take a stand on one side or the other? Like it's a polarizing thing. I'd like to think that our world eventually will get back to the point where, and I actually think there's a lot of people in the world that feel this way. I'd like to think that we as a society could get back to the point of, you know, being rational and having takes on both sides and saying, you know, I love this, but I also think that this is the case. You don't have to be one side or the other, and I think that's what you're getting at, right? I think you're saying that you don't really want to be all in on one side.
Yeah, I mean, like, can I like acknowledge that? Yeah, it'd be great to see Joey Votto come back and have this like fairy tale ending. I think he deserves, obviously, after all he's done for this franchise for the last decade and a half, whatever it is, and he's worked his tail off to come back to get a chance to play. can I acknowledge all that, but also at the same time go, I don't know if this is going to work. I really don't. And I hope that we don't fall off the wagon.
Yeah.
During this, like it's
you know what it feels
so,
like, Nick?
So,
I'm going to give you another great analogy. This is why you tune in to Chatterbox Reds on a 7:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on June 17, 2023 for an analogy like this. Do you know when you're at the casino, you might be at the casino with your boys, maybe with your girls, to be fair, maybe with your boys and your girls, I don't know. But they're playing craps or blackjack, not trying to single out a game, and things are hot. The table is on fire. You don't, as a friend, have your boys sitting down at the blackjack table and tell them, hey, yo, I really want to play. Let me get in. And you just butt yourself in and start playing. You don't do that because you don't want to be the reason or be the escape or the scapegoat or whatever you want to call it for why they started to lose. And I'm not saying Joey Votto is making the decision himself because he's not. But I will tell you right now, if I'm Joey Votto, the last thing I want to do is to try to come into a situation where I have a team that's won 7 in a row, has won, hell, I think 12 of the last 14 series or some crazy stat I just seen. And then all of a sudden kind of force myself into this whole mix and things start to go sour. That would be incredibly a disservice. A Galaxy from far, far away says bring Joey back for at least the grand finale. He deserves that send-off. $20 to see you in that suit and tie. Ooh, Galaxy boy, let me tell you right now. I'll get you a suit and tie. I'll tell you what. I'll bring my Sunday's best tomorrow. How about that, Galaxy? I'll do it one time. I'll tell a story here in about 5 minutes, by the way, just about a suit and tie. Go ahead, Nick. I don't think anyone's ever heard this story, not even my wife. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking earlier today about, like Barry Larkin and Ken Griffey Jr., like how they had the end of their career struggled, and, their last year with the Reds wasn't that great. I think Barry Larkin was okay, but I think he was pretty bad defensively, if memory serves me correct. But the difference between those guys were, I think the 2004 Reds were like 30 games out of first place. The 2008 Ken Griffey Jr.'s last year, the Reds were never in the race. And so it's so like ironic that Joey Votto, the poor guy's played on so many god awful teams, and the 1 year like that he deserves just to be able to have a proper farewell and all that. It's a difficult situation. So I don't know. It's
yeah, it is tough. Listen. People in the chat right now are saying like, we have people on both sides of the aisle. I think that reasonable people could admit that there is a reason on both sides as to why you would want him or not want him to be a big part of this team moving forward. When has Joey Votto made a team worse? Is what somebody asked. I can't keep up with the chat, but maybe never. I don't know. Ellie, you have Ellie in the rundown. You have Ellie in the rundown. We need to talk about him. Ellie De La Cruz got a day off yesterday. I think many people thought, or I should say many as in like myself thinking that many people would think, that he would have gotten an opportunity to play yesterday in a really, really tight baseball game, Nick, when you have opportunities to pinch hit or pinch run and you have all these different opportunities. David Bell stuck to his guns, decided, you know what, I need to give this kid a day off, a legit day off. He's not coming in under almost any circumstance. He did not. He came in today. You can say whatever you want. Maybe it got his mojo back. Maybe it didn't, but he had a pretty decent day. I didn't say he had a great day, but he had a pretty decent day.
2 for 5, double, stolen base. How about that?
Steals whenever he wants.
Did you see that one play that he actually got out on?
Yeah, that was beautiful.
The pitcher and the first baseman fell over each other because they were so worried about his speed going down the line.
Yeah, no, that was absolutely beautiful. The first baseman, without question, freaked out in his mind, thinking to himself, I can't pitch this ball because he might beat that throw to the black. So then he slides into the base. The pitcher's running to cover first base. They fall over each other, and it looks like, it looks a little bit of like a Barnum and Bailey circus to a small extent down there in Houston. Ellie's his dude. He's an incredible athlete. One thing I wanted to say about Ellie and Matt McLean, and again, I'm not suggesting that this is the case right now, but Matt McLean plays such a good shortstop that I'd be willing to bet at least that if Jonathan India continued to play average or a little bit above average, it would actually tempt Nick Kroll into thinking that they might be able to figure that out. Now, I'm not suggesting they should, Nick, as you know. But Matt McLean makes, I don't want to say all the plays because that makes it sound like he's like I'm a fanboy. But golly day, does Matt McLean make almost every single play over there. And I feel like he's never on the rundown just because he's too good of a player. True? Not true?
No, you're right. It's easy to take Matt McLean for granted, and that's a massive mistake. Because I think you're right. I think he is the team MVP. I think Friedel and Steer maybe also in that conversation, but since he's been up, he's clearly the team MVP. There's no question about that. Right. This guy just every single day he does something to help you win.
He does. I want to call him Evan's nerves. I know he's thinking that there's a guy in his camp that's getting ready to leave his camp. I'm not leaving your camp, Evan. You've been a very based fan person in the chat for a long time. Someone with rational thinking, somebody that thinks like what winners should think. Not to get your head too big, Evan, but yes, I still believe that Matt McLean should play second base. Ellie De La Cruz should play shortstop because there's this kid that I want to remind everybody about. His name is Novel Marte. And if Novelli Marte isn't an indication on what's coming up through the grapevine, if you will, he might be a stud, and he might be a stud relatively soon. I'm talking like next year opening day stud. But that's here nor there, not trying to get too far down the weeds. We still got baseball to play this year. You know why, chat? You know why? Because the Reds are playing meaningful baseball on June 17th, 2023. And by meaningful, I mean like first place baseball. You got running red legs in the thing. Do you want to talk about that? You want to talk about the brand of baseball his team plays? Shout out Kirk Casale. I didn't forget the safety squeeze.
That was awesome.
It was a huge play in this game, it or not. That was a huge play in this game. Nick Senzel couldn't get the job done. Not trying to call my man out. Couldn't get the job done. Struck out. Kirk Casale comes up, lays a beautiful bunt. Boom. Next thing you know, we score a run on a safety squeeze.
Yeah, I got two notes here on the running red legs. This is from Joel Luckup. Reds have 30 stolen bases for the first time in a calendar month since May 2017. And then I tweeted this out. So Fangraphs has a stat called base running, which basically is a stat that encompasses all the different things that you can add value to your team on the base pass. Stolen bases, caught stealing are a negative, taking extra bases, all of those kind of things. And they basically turn it into a run value. So if you're 0.0, that means you're as average on the bases as you can possibly be. So the Reds are at 5.1 coming into today, probably went up. Basically meaning in the month of June, they've added 5.1 additional runs just on their base running. The next best team in baseball is the Phillies at 2.1. So like the Reds have literally been over twice as good, almost 2.5 times as good as any other team in baseball on the base pass this month. And I don't know if you could, it's hard to quantify base running. And that Fangraph stat's not perfect. I'm not going to act like it is, but that's kind of the first thing, just because of how big that gap is. I think that kind of really just shows just how valuable that is, and not to mention how fun it is. You factor in the enjoyment of watching a team run the bases with reckless abandon, but also still efficiently at the same time. And then you also add that into the new style of baseball with the pace of play. This is just, it's like almost a totally different sport than I've watched for the Reds for the last decade.
Yeah. No, you're right.
At least since Billy Hamilton.
Is it bass face or base face? But anyway, bass face. Thanks for the $2 super chat. Bunt was OG. It was unpredictable. I actually, believe it or not, I know many of you are going to think that I'm just saying this, but I was actually calling for a squeeze in general. I didn't know if it was going to be a suicide squeeze or a safety squeeze. Safety squeezes, believe it or not, in my opinion, it's one of the most efficient plays in baseball. If you have somebody that can bunt, I would like to know what the success rate is on a safety squeeze versus just any other ball put in play. And I would venture to say someone that can bunt, a safety squeeze scores the guy from third base with less than 2 outs. I don't want to say far more often, but more often than just a traditional hitter hitting the ball. Now, I get why you wouldn't want to do that majority of the time because you don't want to kind of cut your innings off. You want to try to play for some a little bit bigger innings. But as I said before, Nick, this team is actually playing high-level IQ baseball. And you might think, oh, you made the big leagues. People in the big leagues play high-level IQ baseball because they're smart, because they're Major League Baseball players. That is not true. Thank you, Baseface. That is not true. The thing is this. The Reds, not just in one play make high IQ plays, but I think they make more high IQ plays than other teams that I've watched throughout the year. I really do think that. I think they got a lot of heady guys. I'm telling you, even that play today with Will Benson taking third base or forcing the first baseman to have to cut that ball off to throw it to third. I know people are going to be like, oh, you can't make that you can't make the second out at third base. That's actually a good time. Not that there's a good time to make second outs, but that's actually a meaningful time to try to take advantage of getting to third base. You don't make an out at third base, Nick, with what? 0 outs? And you don't make the out at third base with 2 outs, making it the third out of the inning. The reason you would be aggressive in that spot is because you want the first baseman to cut the ball off, because that's the only way that they can get you out at third. When you know in the back of your mind you're up 3 runs, and that guarantees you to score 2 runs, it puts you up 5 with 1 inning to play. The statistical nature of the game tells you that if you're up by 5 with 1 inning to play, you're more than likely gonna win the game. That's just the stuff I'm talking about. And I brought it up 2 or 3 weeks ago, and people wanted to argue with me about McLean taking second base. It's just small stuff that this team does do well. And maybe it's because we're prisoners of the moment sometimes, chat. Maybe because since they're our team, we think that they're better than maybe they are. And perhaps sometimes we are. We're fans. It's short for fanatic. I just genuinely think, Nick, that this team, like it or not, no matter which way you want to cut it, they are hard to beat. They're like this little pest that won't go away often. They don't really ever get ran over. Now, tomorrow they might get beat 12-0 and everybody laughs at Trace. But, I mean, overall, in general, they grind out at bats. They don't give up. They don't give up what I would call meaningful bases. They don't give free 90s away, which is basically free bases. And at the end of the day, that is why I think the run differential doesn't tell the full story for this team. Because a hater would point towards the run differential and say, well, look, you guys have just been lucky. Your run differential is basically negative or it's even, and you guys have a 500 record. Well, you can say that all you want, but the reason this team wins more or less is because Elly De La Cruz is stealing third base with 1 out in the inning after Steer just struck out. Now, Tyler Stevenson got a hit, so it didn't matter. But if Tyler Stevenson hits a fly ball right there to left field and Elly De La Cruz tags up and scores from third base, that's a significant play. It's a huge play. And in fact, I don't know, Nick, I didn't get a chance to see it live. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. But the reason that the infield was in, Nick, is because Elly stole third. And I don't know if you know this, but your batting average on average jumps up 200 to 250 points when the infield comes in when a guy's up. So it's like those things all add up. They all matter. Now, whether Stevenson's would have been a hit or not, like I said, I was driving in the car. I was almost home, and I heard Stevenson got the hit to left field. So I don't know whether or not that was an easy line drive, would have been a hit no matter what, or if it was a ground ball that got through. But that is why this team is fun to watch, and I don't care what anybody tells me. They're going to stick around a little bit. They're not going away, Nick.
Yeah, the hit from Stevens was actually crushed. It was 100 miles an hour, just straight line drive, right in between the third baseman and the shortstop. But yeah, I was kind of thinking is we got some interesting news I want to get to in a second here too that I'm kind of eyeballing right now.
Okay.
But I started to you were talking about this lineup, and outside of the Cardinals, the Reds probably have the best position player group when you're factoring in hitting, base running, and defense in the National League Central. And obviously the Cardinals are pretty far behind. And And that's kind of wild to think how quickly they've come. I think they're clearly better than the Brewers. I think they're better than the Pirates. Maybe when O'Neal Cruz comes back, it's a little closer.
Yeah. That is something that I think many people have not brought up for the Pirates. Yeah. I'm not trying to defend the Pirates. I'm not trying to say, hey, they're better than what they really are. But they lost their best player. So
if I was doing a Pirates podcast, I'd be like, hey, we're still hanging around and we don't have O'Neal Cruz right now. So they definitely have some real reason for optimism too. And I think Reds and Pirates are going to be
it's
real division players for the next several years.
Yep. Beautiful thing.
So C-Trent just reported Reds Monday starter is to be determined. They will announce it after Sunday's game. It was supposed to be Brandon Williamson. So that's interesting. And then I saw that Reds fan Brandon, one of the best follows on Twitter, reported that Connor Phillips last pitched on Tuesday, scheduled to pitch tomorrow. So I don't think they're going to bring him up directly from Double-A, but there's at least a possibility of that. Wouldn't that
How
be
many
wild?
starts? I got a question for you. How many starts, if you know off the top of your head, how many starts did Abbott have with Phillips? How many? How long were they on the same team for?
I believe Phillips started the year on the IL.
Okay.
He made his first start April 8th. No, so they were together for a little while.
Here's something I don't know. I would highly doubt that it would be the only take.
There's a good Levi Stout's also an option. He pitched yesterday.
Okay, but let me just throw this out, just because it's a podcast, it's fun, it's a talk show, it's kind of what we should do. I do think sometimes when guys start to get a little hair up their tail, if you will, and they start to think to themselves, okay, I really love Connor Phillips. I really think this guy could be a stud. Like if Nick Krall's having those thoughts, he's trying to get kind of affirmation from somebody else sometimes. You can call up the Double-A guy and be like, listen, I mean, you've seen Andrew. You've also seen Connor. Do you think Connor could help us? Yes or no? And that Double-A guy might be like, hey, this is the best arm that you have that I've seen. Even better than Abbott. I know Abbott's having hell of success in the major leagues, but this guy might even be better than him. And then all of a sudden you go and you're like, okay, I think the same thing. It's like, I really can't call this guy up straight to the major leagues from Double-A. What do? I go and talk to Abbott. If he goes and talks to Abbott and Abbott's like, listen, man, that guy's a stud. That's the only chance you have to bring a guy straight from Double-A to the big leagues, in my opinion. It's like you see something that you think is just incredibly special. You get affirmation by 2 or 3 other people that you also think are pretty good baseball minds, and you're like, hell with it. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Now, do I think that's going to happen? No, but it'd be cool if it did.
Yeah, good point in the chat from Baseface about Levi Stout. He pitched yesterday, but only threw 2 innings. He's on a pitch count limit. Also, it's also possible that the Reds are going to just use an opener with Brendan Williamson. Rockies have a very platoon-heavy lineup. They have, I'm looking at their Fangraphs page, they have 3 guys that they platoon. So you could maybe kind of mess them up a little bit by throwing an opener. Right. So that could also, it could just be they're not announcing it because they're going to use an opener and they're going to see who's the freshest after we get through tomorrow. But interesting thing to track.
They've done that before. All right, guys, it is a Saturday. You should go and you should enjoy the U.S. Open. You should also enjoy your Saturday night. I just want to say to you the fact that we have 200 plus people watching this show. We have 149 likes right now. I'm not trying to use peer pressure, but I am saying if you've not liked the stream, please get us at least 150. That should be easy. If we get to 200, now we're talking. Now we're in elite range. We're in sweep range, some might say. The other thing I want to bring up is how much we do appreciate you watching this show. I know it's Saturday at 7:53. You guys could be doing a million other things with your lives right now. But this is fun. This is enjoyable. I'm well aware that this baseball team's probably going to lose a game here at some point, and they deserve to lose one at some point because they've played too damn well. And you know what? We're still going to back them no matter what because this team has provided us something we never thought in a million years we would have. we're playing for, like it or not, but we're in a little bit of a pennant race. We're scoreboard watching. Now, are we scoreboard watching a little bit too soon? Maybe so. Maybe so. But who gives a damn? Because we are. And at the end of it, there's two things that happen after every single Reds win. One is that we get to see the Nick Cage pillow. The other thing is a dunk. The beautiful thing about the Nick Cage pillow is Nick is scrambling right now. And I will literally not. This show will not end until we see the Nick Cage pillow. Do you have that Nick Cage pillow?
We're okay. He fell.
Okay.
He fell back.
That would have been devastating, chat. Devastating. However, he's got it. We're going to do the Nick Cage pillow. We're going to do a dunk. But as always, I wanted to remind you and tell you of one thing, or two things. One thing is that we have Reds night, as you know, Chatterbox Reds night on July 17th. That is against the San Francisco Giants. We will be having a river deck opportunity to where everybody can come to the game and enjoy themselves, and we can have a grand old time out there at Great American Ballpark on the river deck out in center field. And that will be, again, on July 17th. Save the date. We will have information on how you can become a part of that on July 1st. I'm going to do that over and over and over again every single night until I'm blue in the face. The second thing is please go download, rate, and review our podcast. Our podcast has grown significantly, probably largely because many of you have spread the word on it. If you will do me a favor, just tell somebody about it, or at least send a little group, send a link to the group chat with all of your boys in it when we go live one night and get them in here. Because this is fun. This is absolutely a blast. Many of you in the chat are knowledgeable people. You can pop in your ideas. We can talk about it. But the fact of the matter is that this show is going to go live after every single Reds game, Nick. And we wanted to tell everybody that we appreciate them. You mean more to us than you probably realize, and we want to make you proud. So any other final thoughts before we do the Nick Cage pillow and a dunk, Nick? Because as always, we have to tell everybody who starts tomorrow, when, where, and why should we watch, Nick?
All right, your Cincinnati Reds going for a sweep of the defending world champion Houston Astros. Luke Weaver on the mound. Luke is due for a big start, I think.
Yes, he is.
Couple notes on Weaver. His changeup is really getting crushed. He's allowed a slugging percentage of .617, second worst in baseball. He's also really struggling third time through the order, OPS over 1,100. But the good news on Weaver, what I think has kind of helped him stay in a lot of ball games, he's only walked one of 57 batters, 2% of the leadoff batter of the inning. So that's been a really positive for him. And another positive, he's only made one career start against the Astros, came in 2020, threw a pretty solid game, 5 1/3 innings, 3 earned runs, did keep the ball in the ballpark. Jose Abreu 0 for 3, Jose Altuve 1 for 3 with a double, and Alex Bregman 0 for 3 with 2 Ks against Weaver. Reds will be going up against Ronel Blanco, big, hard-throwing right-hander, four-seam fastball that can run up to 97 miles per hour. He made his MLB debut last season, but didn't make his first start. He was used exclusively as a reliever up until June 1st. 3.86 ERA this year, but has walked 14 batters in 23.1 innings. So the Reds have certainly been a team that has capitalized on pitchers that walk a lot of guys. And throws a slider 54% of the time on the first pitches. So be ready for the slider. And then a lot of Reds MILB action going on right now. Try to record something for the podcast version tomorrow. Louisville's tied 1-1. Matt Reynolds hit a home run. Chattanooga's up 5-0. Dayton is up 1-0. And as you see in the graphic, Julian Aguilar is pitching, has not allowed a run, pitching really well. And the Daytona is up 5-2. Reds MLB presented by Betfred Sportsbook.
You're damn right it is. Nick, let the people see what they want. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like a tear.
Oh, it's all a tear. It's all a tear. Put it up there. Let the people see it. Yep. That's him. That's Nick. As I like to call it, Nick on Nick crime, everybody. There's one thing left to do. You know what it is. You know what it is. Don't know what we're going to do. Again, I'll tell you what. You make me 7 days in a row dunk, my brain's going to go through a pretzel. Don't know what to do. But I want to tell you this. It doesn't really matter what I do. Because at the end of the day, we get to watch the Reds tomorrow, and we'll be back better than ever. Now watch this athlete. Athlete.